Perfect.
Okay, thank you, Darija.
Thank you, Melissa, for inviting us to join this event, and thanks everyone for attending. And welcome to the story about Croatia. Can we have the next slide? So Croatia is located in the heart of Europe. It is a small but highly geographically diverse dragon-shaped country. Next slide, please. The population is just over 4 million, so it's quite a small country. The climate is moderate continental and Mediterranean along the coast. The capital city is Zagreb. Official language is Croatian, but English is very widely spoken, so you will get by pretty much anywhere around Croatia speaking English. The official currency is Croatian kuna. £1 sterling will give you about 8 to 9 Croatian kunas. And in terms of time difference, Croatia is 1 hour ahead of the UK. Next, please. As I mentioned, Croatia is located in the heart of Europe on the eastern coast of the Adriatic Sea. It's accessible by road, sea, rail, and of course air. So from the UK, there are flights serving 5 different airports in Croatia. So in Zagreb, Pula in Istria, Zadar and Split in Dalmatia, and Dubrovnik further down south the coast. Next, please. We're going to go through some highlights. Obviously, we have a limited time, so we're going to run through highlights of Croatian tourist product, as well as 3 most popular coastal regions of Croatia. Croatia is really beautiful, has a lot of natural and cultural heritage. And when it comes to nature, Croatia actually has the highest percentage of protected areas of any single country in Europe. Croatia actually has in total 8 national parks and 12 parks of nature. So overall combined areas give about 10% of the overall surface of Croatia that is actually protected areas. Some of these national parks are very well known. For example, Plitvice Lakes National Park is one of the most popular with travelers. Then there's Krka National Park and Krka Waterfalls in the Šibenik region. And Kornati National Park, which is an archipelago of islands just off the coast of Šibenik, which is very, very popular with sailors. And then there's further down south, Mljet National Park, which is only a few hours away off the coast of Dubrovnik. Next, please. Croatia is also full of World Heritage sites. It's got 10 UNESCO World Heritage sites scattered across the country. Some of them, again, are very, very popular and very well known. For example, Diocletian's Palace in the medieval Split. Then the very, very famous Dubrovnik Old Town, historical core of the city of Trogir, which is only about half an hour drive from the city of Split. Plitvice Lakes National Park as well, very, very touristy, very, very popular, but it's also protected as UNESCO's World Heritage Site. And then there's, of course, St. James Cathedral in Šibenik and Starigrad Plain on the island of Hvar, which are very popular and some of the must-see landmarks in Croatia. Next slide, please. When it comes to intangible cultural heritage, Croatia is the 4th in the world in the number of intangible cultural heritage items listed on UNESCO's list. So those are usually traditional, certain traditions, or for example, a traditional type of singing and dancing that is performed across Croatia. Then there's lace making, particular lace making technique from the island of Pag. For example, you can visit island of Pag and enjoy a lace making experience or workshop. And then there's, for example, art of dry stone walling, knowledge and techniques that's also been protected as intangible cultural heritage. Next, please. Croatia is probably still mostly known and mostly popular because of its long and beautiful indented coast. It has the coast has up to 300 sunny days per year, and because it is so highly indented, it does boast some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. And although there are quite a lot of sandy beaches in Croatia, the majority of beaches are made out of really, really fine pebbles and shingles. But regardless of that, wherever you go, you will see scenery just like you can see now on your screen, with beautiful nature surrounding you and crystal clear waters everywhere. Next slide, please. Croatia also boasts over 1,200 islands overall. Not all of them are inhabited, but the majority of them are still accessible by boat. So if you're staying somewhere along the coast, or if you're staying somewhere on some of the bigger islands, you can still either do a day excursion or a boat trip to some of the more secluded islands and have a really authentic day in nature and have a really unique surroundings. Next slide, please. And for those who prefer a little bit more adrenaline during their holidays, there's plenty of locations across Croatia, especially on the coast, where you can enjoy activities such as diving, cycling, paragliding, rafting, hiking, or bungee jumping, zip lining, really whatever level of activity you'd prefer. There's pretty much a location in Croatia where you can do these activities. Next slide, please. And Croatia also overall has 25 products with the EU protected designation of origin. It is famous for many award-winning olive oils and wines, and it's home to the largest white truffle in the world, which was actually found in 2010, and it weighed just over 1 kilo. Next slide, please. So moving on to the coastal regions we'll be covering today, Istria is in the northwest of the country, bordering Italy and Slovenia. Next slide, please. Istria claims the smallest town in the world, called Hum, but also the whole of Istria is full of these small medieval towns, and the whole scenery of the inland Istria is full of these like little hills. It's riddled in vineyards and olive groves. So places like Motovun, Grožnjan, Završje, Oprtalj are really like small little hidden gems on the inland Istria that you have to visit. Next slide, please. There are pieces of history left behind everywhere across Istria, from the amphitheater and the Golden Gate in Pula that you see on the screen, to Kažun theme park, for example. Even the streets and squares of towns like Vrsar, Rovinj, and Svetvinčanat tell some amazing historical stories. Next slide, please. This region in particular is famous for truffles, or wine, and olive oil. So it's also known as a sort of foodie destination in Croatia. So when you're there, you must certainly try some homemade pasta, homemade fuji that you see on the screen, with some truffles and olive oil. Next slide, please. And when you're in Istria, you must definitely see at least one of the 3 natural jewels of Istria, such as the Brijuni National Park. This is one of the islands belonging to the Brijuni National Parks, or Premantura and the Lim Bay Nature Reserves. Next slide, please. We're moving down to Split. Split is located in the region called Dalmatia, Central Dalmatia. Next slide, please. Split actually developed from a palace. So in the year 305, the world's then most powerful man, Roman Emperor Diocletian, chose to build his home in the heart of the region of Dalmatia, setting the first stones in the place for future city of Split. So what you see on the screen is the peristyle square within the Diocletian's palace. So everywhere you go, really, in Split, in the city center, you will be actually walking within the Diocletian's palace. The whole of city center core is stunning. It's absolutely, it's a historical building. It's protected as UNESCO's World Heritage Site, and it's definitely worth to spend a couple of days just exploring the city of Split. Even though as well, Split is a major port. So if you were to go to any of the islands in the region or further down south, or if you want to catch coach to somewhere along the coast, you will definitely need to go through Split. So if you take a ferry, for example, from Split to the nearby Brač Island, you can enjoy the stunning warm waters of the Adriatic Sea, and it's a great way to experience Croatia's lovely coastline. You can spend a day on the beach called Zlatni Rat Beach on the island of Brač, in the town of called Bol. This beach is popular for its unique shape and it's great for water sports. Now, what's characteristic of its shape is that the tip of this horn actually changes shape depending on the currents and the winds. So sometimes it's a little bit more curled up to the left, or sometimes it's curled to the right, depending on the current. It's very, very popular with windsurfers. It's popular for water sports, but it's very family friendly as well. The whole town of Bol has many restaurants and it has a kids park as well, so it's great for kids. The inland villages and the coastal tracks of the whole of the island of Brač are perfect for cycling excursions, and the roads are quiet and very safe, and you can discover pine forests, coastal paths, and secluded swimming spots along the way. Next slide, please. When you're in the region, you definitely should try fresh fish along the coastal area. You can try some of the award-winning olive oils, but also make sure you try pasticada and arambashici, which are traditional meat dishes from the region's inland. Next slide, please. Split is also home to the Ultra Europe Music Festival in the normal days. The whole region is actually full of interesting events like Fisherman Village fiestas and the specific a cappella singing kind of gatherings, which is very traditional type of singing. But also in Split, throughout summer, there is a festival called Split Summer Festival, which essentially is a month full of open air theater performances from ballets, operas, proper theater plays, everything happening out in the open, and the Split city center becomes this big open air stage. So it's a great time to visit. Moving down to Dubrovnik, which is last but definitely not least. Dubrovnik is one of the most popular destinations in Croatia, especially for the British travelers. Besides the city of Dubrovnik itself, the whole region actually has so many different hidden gems to explore. One of them are the town walls of Ston. Ston is a little town on the peninsula of Pelješac, just about an hour away from Dubrovnik city. And the town walls of Ston are known as the European Wall of China, dating from the 14th century, unique due to the length of 5.5 kilometers, monumental size, and the defense structures along the wall. Dubrovnik itself is also known as the Pearl of the Adriatic, and it's also used as a set for King's Landing in the famous TV series Game of Thrones. It is also protected as UNESCO's World Heritage Site. It is considered to be one of the most beautiful of all Mediterranean towns for sightseeing, especially shopping in ancient streets and walking along city walls. You can walk down Stradun, Old Town's main street, and promenade, or another option is to go with a small walking tour of Old Town Dubrovnik. You can hire a local guide that can guide you through the area and give you some great info and introduction to the history of the city. You can also go up the Dubrovnik cable car for a bird's eye view of Dubrovnik. So this what you see on your screen is sort of what you would see from the top of the Mount Surge that you reach with Dubrovnik cable car. It's only a short ride, about 5-minute ride up the cable car, but you will enjoy some amazing views. Recommendation is go there just before sunset so that you capture some amazing photos of Dubrovnik. You can also take an optional boat ride to some of the islands in the vicinity. But what you must try is dinga twine from the Pelješac Peninsula. That are authentic to the region, and mandarins from the Neretva Valley. You can even join in for the mandarin and grape harvests and be a part of this amazing tradition. Next slide, please. And the islands surrounding Dubrovnik are definitely worth a visit if you're staying for a longer time. You can spend a day on the island of Korčula, just off the coast of Dubrovnik, which is also known as the birthplace of Marco Polo, or you can visit the island of Mljet that you see on your screen, which is home to Mljet National Park. So 1/3 of the whole of the island is the national park with 2 saltwater lakes and a Benedictine monastery set on the little island just in the middle of the lakes. You can swim in the lakes, enjoy and sunbathe on the beaches, or you can hire a bike and cycle around the lakes. Either way, it's a wonderful way to experience Mljet. Mljet is a little bit less known or less touristy than some other parts of the region, so it's definitely recommended to visit. And to finish off, we'd just like to play a short promo video of Croatia.
Darija, thank you so much. That I don't really know where to begin summing up Croatia, because every time I see a presentation about Croatia or see or go through the website or go through our website, there's just a completely different aspect. And I've only had the pleasure of visiting Istria and Zadar before, so I just, there's so much more to explore, and thank you so much for bringing it alive.
My pleasure. It is a very, very diverse destination, so everyone will find something for them.
It's incredible. It wasn't planned this way, but the focus on for both Croatia and Malta on protecting heritage, aside from beautiful beaches, great food, the protection and the history in both destinations is quite incredible. We're a member of the World Travel Association for Culture and Heritage, and it's super important to us as a social enterprise that those incredible sort of intangible but also tangible heritage sites are protected for future generations, and it looks like both destinations are really doing that and making them available as well for tourists in a controlled way, but to protect them, but also to enable that at the same time as going to the destination. So fantastic. Thank you, Louise, Peter, Darija, for your presentations this evening. I have questions already. Sorry for the glitches, by the way, Louise, on the video not showing. Kind of what I see and what everyone else sees sometimes on Zoom is different. So
no worries at all.
So Sarah's asking a question about, she's not so much held up on the need to travel during school holidays, and wonders if autumn, as we open up, particularly after the pandemic and the traffic lights, whether autumn is a good time to travel. Is everything open? Is there any restrictions or challenges for both destinations? Maybe starting with Croatia.
Yeah, so I would say autumn is actually a wonderful time to visit, like late September, October, because the weather will still be nice and warm, really balmy. You won't have the summer crowds and you won't have that peak summer heat either. But the water as well is still going to be warm. So actually it's the perfect time to travel. Another really great time to travel if you want to avoid the crowds is early May. So throughout May, early June is wonderful as well. Not too hot and not too crowded.
Great. And does the same apply in Malta?
I think we're very similar Mediterranean countries. Likewise, it's a year-round destination. And I agree with Darija that outside the kind of peak summer season, it's actually a great time to be in these Mediterranean islands because it's not as crowded. The climate is a little bit milder, but it's still great to enjoy outdoor activities. So I would definitely recommend kind of October and May as well are great months. And we've also got, a huge events calendar throughout the year, obviously when outside of the COVID time. So there are always events happening, even after the summer season.
Oh, great. I thought as much, and that's a really, as you say, to avoid the sort of the crowds that they're sure to be in the busier times in summer. That's really reassuring. I had a question about rental cars, and so firstly to Darija, thinking of the diversity of Croatia, I know when I went to Istria, I took a rental car and it was really, really good to be able to drive around the region. Is fly-drive a viable thing to do in Croatia?
Oh, absolutely. It's actually one of the best ways to see the country. One of the most, what is known as one of the most stunning scenic routes in the Mediterranean is actually the Adriatic highway that goes along the coast of Croatia all the way down to Dubrovnik. So especially from Split to the drive from Split to Dubrovnik is absolutely stunning. And then obviously it will take you about 5.5 hours to get from Split to Dubrovnik, but you will be able to stop along the coast, visit some amazing villages along the way, have some amazing photo opportunities as well, because you're overlooking really the coast of Croatia and all the islands just off the coast. And it really gives you, having a car and being able to do things at your own pace then gives you the opportunity to change your itinerary as well at a very last minute and just kind of explore something off the itinerary.
And signage in Croatia, is that designed for tourists as well?
More recently, more and more things are. I would say the main signs are still majority in Croatian, but it's not really kind of, those are like names of landmarks and things like that would be universal. So it would be the same. But as I mentioned, in Croatia, really the majority of people speak English very well. So it's easy to ask for that.
That was my experience. I agree. And I must put in a word for truffle ice cream in Istria. I've got to put in a quick word for that because it was yummy. And in Malta, we talked a lot about how walkable Valletta and the cities are. Is there a value in renting a car while you're in Malta?
So it really depends where you're staying. Let's say, for example, if you base yourself in Valletta, then I personally wouldn't rent a car just because you've got a bus terminus just outside the city gate. and the main bus terminus will take you all over the island. And it's really inexpensive as well. You can, for example, purchase a bus pass, which is just €21, and that gives you access for a whole week. And that's for Malta and Gozo. So it depends where you're staying. But then, for example, if you've got a family, Peter mentioned Melliha, where we have the longest stretch of sandy beach. That's towards the north of the island. So having a car kind of gives you flexibility. We do have a great transport system, but you don't have that flexibility that you would need if you have a family with children. So depending where you're staying, I would recommend accordingly.
Okay, that's great. Any other questions from anyone? Please unmute and ask away.
I mean, there's so many incredible activities to do. So I guess we already heard that Peter's done the diving, but Louise, what was your favorite activity in Malta? And the same for Darija. What's your favorite adrenaline adventure thing to do? Because I wouldn't be able to choose from everything that you've got to offer.
I personally love the Segway tours. They're so much fun. We did a Segway tour last summer, and they take you through Dingley Cliffs. Dingley Cliffs is one of the highest points in Malta, and the views are stunning. And because it's a very, very quiet village, there are barely any cars. So you're segwaying in the middle of the road pretty much. And you've got stunning views. It's nice and cool because you've got the fresh air, obviously as you're cycling through. But I would definitely recommend the segways. They're a lot of fun and really scenic.
Amazing. I do love a Segway. And it's a workout too for your legs, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
The leaning back to brake and
balance. Yeah.
And Darija, what about your favorite thing?
I think it's very, very difficult to choose just one, but maybe rafting on Cetina River, which is just about half an hour drive further south from Split. You get to this little town called Omish. And from there, there's plenty of organized tours that take you kayaking along the canyons of Cetina River. So it's very exciting, and it's a lot of fun as well for everyone. You don't have to be super experienced, but still you're going to love it. It's an adrenaline rush.
Wow,
amazing. Thank you.
So I'm looking at the time. We're close to 8 o'clock. Has anyone got any other questions they want to pop in chat or ask now? Otherwise, we'll let you go to the last part of the warm evening. Right, that's brilliant. So it remains for me to thank Darija and Peter and Louise for their amazing presentations. I think I join everyone that has the wanderlust and desire to travel in hoping upon hope that the green list is kind to everyone. But I'd also remind everyone that even if you're not ready to book straight away, there's nothing stopping you whatsoever booking for later in 2021. Particularly, we talked about autumn earlier on, and indeed, even if you're skipping a 2021 holiday, God forbid, and you wanted to book into 2022, this chaos of confusion will be over absolutely by then. So please contact Charitable Travel. We would love to help you with your holiday, remembering that, of course, every booking creates 5% donation value for a charity who can really do with your help. And charities have been as much hit as the travel and tourism industry over the last year and a half. So we hope you think that's a great combination to get the travel you want and help a great cause as well.